Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Glad everybody's here. I hope you're going to have a good New Year's Eve, and you got something to do, a tradition or something. Everybody's asking me, what are you going to do for tonight? I was like, nothing. I think I'm just going to, do what I normally do on the night, just watch some TV show or a rerun of Star Trek or some damn thing. I don't know. I just, watching the ball is like, whoopee. Okay. And I really, for me, this year has been a pain in the ass. And I just, I'm just happy to see it go. But, it's all relative, for each person, whether the year was a good year or a bad year. So I'm just hoping that next year things will look better by December next year than they do right now, because I really think, we really ought to see some improvement. We can't keep going down and down and down all the fucking time, because it's just not going to be good for our kids that are trying to start in life, and I feel bad for them because it is difficult for them. And I know some people say, well, it was difficult for me. Yeah, but it was not as difficult as it is now, okay? You got, you think about, how you started off, and then you talk to your kid and see what they are looking, it's no comparison. It's worse today than it was, when your day. And even I can admit that, because, when I graduated in 1990, the prospects of a future were a little brighter than they are now. So anyway, so I got this little funny thing here that's going on now, developing with another one of MAGA's favorite lunatics, and of course that's Lauren Boebert. It's Lauren Boebert. It was only a matter of time before this happened, right? First it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, and now it's going to be her. Okay. Lauren Boebert makes withering Epstein accusation after Trump vetoes the clean water in Colorado. Okay. Looks like Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't the only former MAGA faithful to learn the hard way that loyalty in Trump land is a one-way street. America's wannabe dictator just used the first veto of his current term to nix a bipartisan bill, which passed both the House and the Senate unanimously. Think of that. They've got, in this climate of our government, that passed unanimously, to provide clean drinking water to 39 communities on Colorado's eastern plains. The bill's sponsor, Republican Lauren Boebert, issued a withering response lambasting Trump for abandoning his so-called quote-unquote America First values and shitting on 50,000 people in southeast Colorado, many of whom voted enthusiastically for him in all three elections, unquote. Boebert wasn't finished. She added, quote, I sincerely hope this veto has nothing to do with political retaliation for calling out corruption and demanding accountability, unquote. Though she didn't explicitly say it, Boebert is clearly connecting some very obvious dots. The Colorado Congresswoman was one of 4 Republicans who crossed the aisle and joined House Democrats to force the release of the infamous Epstein files, which Trump fought tooth and nail to suppress. For daring to cross dear leader, Boebert put herself and any legislation she might sponsor in the crosshairs. Congress will almost certainly override this veto in short order, of course, but the vainglorious nincompoop is so consumed by his own pettiness, he cannot help but set himself up for embarrassing defeat. Well played, sir. Yeah, okay. Well, I could see how this would piss off people in Colorado, what Trump did here, all right? Unfortunately, Lauren Boebert is not your hero here in this, okay? I'm sorry. Mrs. Beetlejuice here has done some pretty stupid things in her time as Congresswoman, and she's really got no fucking clout to be able to roar at Trump and think he's going to shake in his boots at anything she says. As far as he's concerned, she and Marjorie Taylor Greene and others are shit under his heel. So this is the time when you wish you had somebody that had more balls and more gumption there to do the right thing, okay? Unfortunately, because when you select people to represent you, and these people are flawed and they got shady backgrounds and they're doing stupid things, this is what you get. When times are needed, you need these people to step up, and well, she stepped up, but everybody's laughing at her. Okay, but the people that are not laughing are those who's getting fucked from what Trump's done here. Those are the ones who are not laughing, and unfortunately for them, they're the person they got to represent them is somebody that's really going to disappoint them as well. So I just, this is why, I say in my other videos, I mean, you got to take these elections serious. You have to keep in mind that these people, you got to vet them. You got to check them out. They lied before in the past. Did they do any scandalous things? Did they do any? You got to vet these people. You can't just ask them questions and get back, prepared answers. That's not vetting. That's just, a person, parroting around bumper sticker slogans and, preening like a damn peacock, just to make himself or herself look good. No, you got to look at their history, because their actions speak louder than their words. Okay? And that's the thing that we were trying to tell people about Trump last year, is don't listen to him. Look at his actions. Look at his history. That'll tell you what you need to know about him. Okay? Everything he says now doesn't jive with everything he's done in the past. Okay? So he was lying all last year. So the thing is that with Lauren Boebert, her actions while she's been in Washington, D.C., really say a lot about how she is, okay? And I think she's going to get a lot of blowback from this. I mean, they're saying that they'll probably override the veto. Okay, they might. What if they don't? What happens if they don't? It's just, you don't have a voice, really, a serious voice, to make sure that vote, that veto, or that override, that override happens. Okay, you need somebody who can really argue the case that this veto has to be overridden, and I don't think she's the one to do it. I honestly don't. So, yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Colorado. I visited Colorado years and years ago, beautiful state. I was there when I was in the Air Force, and I got to go through Denver a lot while I was there because the base was close by, Lowry, which of course was closed after I had graduated from there. But yeah, I mean, it's sad that the state doesn't have, or at least that area where she represents doesn't have a better representative, because I think in this fight it's important that veto be overridden. So we'll see what happens, I guess. I don't know. All right, and here's another development here in this Minnesota fraud thing that's been going on here. Trump regime freezes all child care payments to Minnesota after viral fraud allegations. The Trump administration has just frozen tens of millions of dollars in vital child care payments to the blue state of Minnesota just because some right-wing twerp with a video camera tried to barge into Somali American-operated daycare centers, was obviously and rightfully refused entry, then subsequently claimed this was all somehow evidence of fraud. There's no actual proof for any of Nick Shirley's histrionic proclamations of chicanery. The state's own oversight agencies have visited all the daycares in question over the past 6 months and found no evidence of fraud. But Trump and his cronies clearly are just looking for an excuse to deny money to a blue state and to punish people of color who had the temerity to vote for Democratic Governor Tim Walz. Real people's lives are being thrown into chaos with this funding freeze. The child care crisis in this country is bad enough already. And now, Trump is willfully making it worse out of sheer spite and racist cruelty. Truly dark stuff at play here. Yeah. Like I said, Trump is going to use this as much as he can to, embolden his voters that, vote for me. Even though a lot of them are so pissed off at him this year, he's doing this. And, he's been coming down hard on a lot of blue states, not the red states, but the blue states. But here's the thing. Even in the blue states, you have conservatives, you got Republicans, you got areas of red in every blue state. Just like in every red state, you're going to have areas of blue, okay? So him attacking the blue states doesn't really only affect Democrats, it's affecting the Republicans that live there too. So does he really think that this ploy is going to work? That it's not going to backfire on him? Of course it will. And as far as this fraud thing goes, that's been happening, it was brought up that this is not something new. They have been doing this here for months, I guess. This story is not new to Minnesota. They've known about it. Problem is that, when you live in a different state, you don't get the stories that happen that are potentially big from other states until they explode like they've done here, because the Republicans saw an opportunity here to really throw this back on Tim Walz and try to destroy him, because he is a potential runner here for president, and he's not a person that will just bend over and kiss the ring. So yeah, he is, one of the people that Republicans are afraid of that will run for president. So they're obviously going to take this, which was a state story, and now they're going to blow this up into a national story. And so this is at the point where you have to question, okay, what you're hearing now, because we have people that are interested in making this as bad can get. Okay. They're going to doctor the numbers. They're going to, do like what Trump does when he talks. Everything is the worst in the history and all. You have to make sure that what you're hearing is actually based in some kind of reality here. Because at this point, there's a lot of people on the right who want to see Tim Walz brought down. Okay, they're already screaming for him to resign. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. When something story like this was just a state story, which you could probably say, well, there's truth there because nobody's trying to gain anything from it. Now it's a national story, which means now the whole country is going to be watching this. And now that they got the attention of the whole country, now's the time they're going to really put on the circus act here. Okay, that's what they're going to do. So this is the time when you have to really be careful about what you read concerning this fraud thing here in Minnesota, and and really kind of get as much truth as you can find about it from people who independent people that don't really have a skin in the game, as it were. Okay, these people have to be the ones you're going to have to get the sources from, the information from, you know, and not just from the mainstream, because the mainstream is going to, you know, obviously follow the gossip more than they'll follow the facts. And so, yeah, I mean, but it's still, I mean, the fraud is fraud, and it's nasty, and a lot of money stolen. Okay, I agree. That has to be stopped. They got to find out where that money went. Okay, I think if you don't find out where the money went, then the people who stole it get to try again. Okay, maybe in a different state next time. So if you don't follow the money and see where it went, then you're not really getting to the heart of the matter. You're just, you know, I mean, someone's got to pay for it, right? Someone has to answer for the crime. So why take it out, you know, on the governor, who is not Detective Columbo? Okay, he's just a governor. He hires the job of investigating fraud to other people. They're the ones that find the fraud, then come back to the governor and say, oh, you know, look what we've discovered here. And then he decides where to take it from there. Okay, but it seems to me like, you know, in some respect, they were investigating it, but they were keeping it quiet. You know, and I think the reason for that is they didn't want to draw the attention of Trump that this problem was bigger than they, you know, anybody would realize. Because now that it's out there, you see what's happened, and this is the thing they didn't want to have happen, was this to get national attention, and they draw in Donald Trump. Okay, because with his fat little fingers involved in this, now you can't really trust anything that happens concerning this from here on out. Now. See, that's the problem. So I feel like, you know, that's probably the reason why this story never really got the national headline before, is because Waltz and people in the know knew probably the scope of it, but didn't want that information to get out too big, because it was probably monumental. They was like, oh my God, if this gets out, we're fucked. You know, they just, you know what I'm saying? And they've been trying to deal with this quietly on their own for months, but you know, all it took was one person with a camera, you know, and whether or not there was evidence of what he was saying was happening, it's too late now, because now the cat's out of the bag. Everything is, you know, coming out about this, and they've got the whole state riled up now, and the country too. So this, you know, like I said, politics is a blood sport. I mean, don't kid yourself. I mean, this, you know, when your opponent shows some weakness, or there's blood in the water, they're going to go right after you like sharks. Okay, all right. And you know, every politician has got skeletons in their closet, or there's something that's going on that they're not aware of. But if it ever got out, they're finished. Okay, so I mean, this happens all the time, people. Humans are not perfect, and neither we don't live our lives perfectly either. So it's unfortunate that fraud on this scale happened in the state, okay, that all that money was stolen, okay, and it's also unfortunate that Somalis are going to be marginalized here as, oh, these people are pariahs, we can't leave them in this country. You know, that's what's going to be the next thing that comes out of Trump's mouth, if he hasn't already said it, okay. He's going to start rallying the 30% out there to start seeking out Somalians and attacking them and all kinds of shit, you know. You see, this is why we can't have a president like this. Okay? A president is not supposed to start fights. He's supposed to end them. Okay? He's supposed to prevent them. But this guy loves to see people fighting. I mean, it's like maybe he spent so much time watching wrestling that, you know, and being involved in wrestling, that he finds that entertaining to see pit people against each other. He loves it. Okay, just like when he ran back to the, White House and was watching on TV the riot he started in Washington, D.C. I mean, he was sitting there fucking, you know, enjoying himself while he was watching people storm the fucking Capitol. He loved seeing that. That's his entertainment. You know, he's a sick bastard, but that's what he does. I mean, God, you can't really see it any other way than that. I mean, you wonder, why does this guy keep doing shit like this? It's because he loves it. He loves it, you know. it's like a, it's childish in a way, because kids like to watch wrestling and stuff like that, but when you see adults, sitting here getting absorbed in people beating up on people or something, even if it is fake, that looks kind of silly. you know. So anyway, okay, here's what I think is an important story here. Social Security's problems snowball as staff quit and backlogs reach record levels. Social Security Administration, the sprawling federal agency that delivers retirement, disability, and survivor benefits to 74 million Americans, began the second Trump administration with a hostile takeover. It ends the year in turmoil. A diminished workforce has struggled to respond to up to 6 million pending cases in its processing centers and 12 million transactions in its field offices, record backlogs that have delayed basic services to millions of customers, according to internal agency documents, and dozens of interviews. Long-strained customer services at Social Security have become worse by many key measures since Donald Trump began his second term. Agency data and interviews show as thousands of employees were fired or quit, and hasty policy changes and reassignments left inexperienced staff to handle the aftermath. This is a problem that's affected, I guess, every state. I mean, and like they said, it started with Doge, okay, saying we're going to go get rid of fraud and waste in this country, and he targets the areas of the country, or the areas of our government, that depend on every nickel and dime they get, okay, to do their job. But he leaves out, the military, who probably piss money more than anybody else. Okay, they, if you really want to get rid of waste and fraud, you start there. You start at the top, which is, when you look at a pie chart and you see federal dollars and how the proportion of what's spent, it's always the military. So I call that the top. So if you want to start with waste and fraud, you begin there and you work your way down, because they didn't find a whole lot on the other side by starting at the bottom and working. You know what I'm saying? They didn't find a whole lot of waste and fraud there. Okay, maybe a little bit over here or something like that, but not so you have to get this special group Doge to actually finagle extra, squeeze some more pennies, or something. Okay, it wasn't that bad. Okay, every organization is going to have a little bit of problem here and there with finances and stuff like that. It's not a sign that there's any fraud going on or anything like that. Okay, it just means that they can't, unless they have a fucking computer from hell, can account for every nickel and dime that's being spent. All right, some places could use an upgrade in how their accounting works, but overall, you're not going to see that much waste and fraud there, okay? Usually that happens from people outside the system, people that, are receiving those benefits, but did it dishonestly, like what's happening in Minnesota, okay? That's where you're going to find the fraud. It won't be the institution that supplies the funds. It's going to be the people trying to pretend they need it, and stuff like that. That's where the problem lies. Anyway, as far as the military goes, like I said, there's always waste and fraud there. I mean, it's ridiculous how much money the military throws away on projects they start and don't finish, on how much they have to pay for projects in the first place, because they're always getting hosed for the highest fucking expense, and they don't try to seek out what others would call bargains. They always pay top dollar for whatever the hell they want, and they never try to find somebody else that could do it better for less. Okay, but the military is always the place to go. But that wasn't the whole point of Doge, was it? I mean, that's not the reason why. It was Trump attacking the 90% of this country. Okay, his retribution campaign while he's been in office this year has been to attack these people, and so he had to take away funding for a lot of things, like the Social Security here. I mean, he's trying to finagle that, and he's caused some damage there. And now there's less people working there, and now there's backlogs and there's more delays, and people are getting pissed, because hey, when they cut your benefits off, okay, it could take months to get it back. That happened to a friend of mine this year. I think 5 or 6 months ago, they stopped the disability checks they were getting, okay, saying we need, like a review basically, but they stopped it. So in order to get it back, they had to go and see more doctors and everything and get updated material to provide for, a challenge to that, from having that stopped. It took about 5 months to go through that whole process, and they finally gave it back. So that's one of the few that did make it through it and get it back, but they went months without it. I mean, fortunately, they had they were living with their parents, so I mean, it was, so they didn't have to worry about starving. But the fact is they it's money they needed, because look, some people, I mean, there's obviously cases out there where people who claim they can't work are working or doing things, and they say they can't do it. But when you get doctors to back up the claim, okay, and they provide, X-rays and all kinds of shit. I mean, this is what I mean about it takes a process, and if you have less people, okay, that process takes longer than it should. So, I mean, it's sad that this has happened, and a lot of people out there who depended on a disability check from Social Security probably had it stopped and they haven't got it back yet. Some people don't want to go through the rigmarole of trying to, challenge the ruling because of how much it takes, how much time it takes, and sometimes they have to hire an attorney to fight the state or whatever to keep their benefits coming in. They have to hire attorneys, and that costs money. So I mean, it's a scary thing when you need that money to live on, and if you're alone and you don't have anybody to help you while you're waiting for this process, I mean, you're fucked. I mean, it's sad, and nobody gives any thought to that. Nobody in D.C. gave any thought to that. Doge never gave any thought to that. Okay, all they did was Trump said we got to knock this much money out of the system. That's what he looks like. Like I said, he looks at people like dollar signs. We got to knock this kind of money out of the system. He didn't think about how many kids, how many women, how many men, even veterans that were going to suffer that loss. He didn't care. And like I said, he is probably the most selfish person in the world right now. I mean, I don't see why anybody would want to talk to this man or even know him, because he's just he's a wretch. I mean, he's just okay. I feel like this guy really he has it in for this country. He hates this country, and a man who hates this country does not deserve to lead it. In my opinion, it's like a man who hates the military, but he's wearing 4 stars on his shoulder. That man should not be in that position of running the military if he hates it. Okay? It makes sense? It's like, if you hate your job, you shouldn't be working in that job. Okay? Because you're not going to care what happens to that job. Makes sense, right? So Trump doesn't care about what happens to this country because he hates it, and he's trying to make everybody suffer in it to his heart's glee. And I know that sounds petty, but Trump is a very petty man. I think after this whole year has gone by, I think everybody can understand that, especially with him trying to attach his name to this and that and then everything else. Okay, he's a petty man. And that means, he's childish. He's not mature in his mind. It's either through mental degradation or that's been his personality his whole fucking life, And judging by how he was with Epstein, I think that's what it is. That's his personality, his whole life. Everything is a big fucking game to him, big fun and game, okay? How much damage can I do and get away with it? I mean, I think that's what he is. He's just like that. The wrong kind of person to be sitting in the White House, folks. All right, let's go to a commercial break here. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
I thought I'd just get head spins, not nicotine poisoning.
Oh my god. His vape taped.
I wanted to be social. I didn't want the addiction that took over.
I thought it was just a bit of fun, but not being able to breathe because of lung damage is definitely not fun.
It's proven that vapes cause real harm. Every vape is a hit to your health. For more proof, search vaping harms.
People love to say Trump didn't create racism, and no, he didn't. But if this video is any indication, there are a whole lot of people in the United States who now feel emboldened to openly express their racism because they believe, they know that someone at the top, the very top, is on their side.
So,
what?
well, because of what you were doing today. You can't just be
What did I do?
flipping people off, making them feel uncomfortable.
Because a Mexican, stopped me.
Okay. I don't think that's what happened.
You know what? They need to go back to Mexico.
Okay, you can't be saying things like that.
Yeah, I can.
No,
yeah, I can. No, it's not racist.
So here's the thing, Tracy.
Tracy. Our president of the United States.
Tracy.
Our president of the United States, Trump.
Tracy.
No impact right here.
That's neither here nor there, okay? They live over there, you live over here, all right? We're gonna stay like that, but if you start touching people's cars, leaving notes on it, listen,
wait,
just listen.
Time out. Time the out.
I've seen the notes.
Time the out. When did you see the notes?
She just showed them to me.
When?
Just now.
From when?
It's in the past. I don't know. She said it started.
It's in the past.
She said it started.
It's
3
in the
years ago.
past.
The notes are.
Right.
But the behavior is continuing.
I don't give a shit.
Okay, well, you probably should because that's why we're here.
No.
And then this could lead to criminal charges if things...
Criminal charges for what? Because they need to go back to Mexico?
We could start with disorderly conduct.
Disorderly conduct for what?
At the very least.
Well,
You're alarming and disturbing people.
Disturbing people how?
They don't feel safe because of what you're doing and saying and how you're acting.
Right, because they park their car on my street?
Your street is... You do not own the street.
Oh, okay, so...
You're more than welcome to park your car there so they can't.
Okay, so... Trump says...
Trump has nothing to do with North World
Trump's
right
our
now.
president.
I understand that, but he has nothing
You understand that, right?
Yes, but he has nothing to do with North World.
Okay, you understand that, right? Correct?
Correct.
You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that?
Tracy, you've asked me that 4 times in a row, and I've said the same thing.
And I've said the same thing to you.
No,
They park there.
They can do that.
They can do that, and
Yes.
they're looking at me.
It's a public street. Everyone pays the same taxes.
I pay the same taxes too.
All right, then you can also park your car there. But this is...
I don't park my car there.
Tracy, can we all agree that this is a little ridiculous?
No, I can't agree. I can't agree.
Okay. I think what you...
Jackass is contacting me via no-caller ID.
I don't
right?
care. Tracy,
yeah, you don't care because...
I don't care about that. I'm not here for that.
I could die, and you don't care.
I am not here for that. What I think you need to do is go inside.
I think you need to
go inside.
Dee Dee Mao.
Tracy, I can put a front line in so that people do extra patrols in the neighborhood for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to talk to him now, okay? Because you are nothing.
Tracy.
Like, my dad served in the U.S. Army.
If you want to talk to him, then
and
talk
you
to
don't
him.
deserve a flag on your casket.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk to him.
Okay.
And then she decides to talk to the other cop because she thinks that'll work out better for her, but it in fact does not. In fact, it's
You can't be
worse.
targeting them because they're a
I
certain
didn't say
race.
they were a certain race.
Well, you said they were Mexican. They had to go back to Mexico.
Well,
You said that.
they do.
No, they don't. They're citizens here that
Well,
can stay here.
Are they citizens?
How would you know that?
How do you know that?
I can't assume that they're not citizens. If someone's here, I just
So,
assume they're citizens
maybe
until I
you
have
need to go
evidence.
down there
How
and
do I know
find
you're
out-
How do I know you're a citizen?
Because my dad served in the United States Army.
That doesn't
What if
mean
their
you're a
parents served in the United States
I'm a
Army?
citizen.
But how do I know you are compared to them?
Exactly.
So then, should we send you back to wherever your ancestors are?
Where am I? I'm in the United States of America.
So are they.
So where are they? I'm not talking to you.
They're in the United
by the
States of
way,
America.
That's
I'm
fine.
not talking to you.
I appreciate
Targeting
that.
them and-
Yeah, I appreciate that too.
All right.
Tracy,
I've never seen you.
he's sleeping anyways. Don't worry about
I'm gonna talk to you.
it. You can't.
My dad served the United States Army
We appreciate
and fought for our
service.
country.
We appreciate that.
That's right.
That's
I have
to allow
Agent Orange,
certain
by the
freedoms
way,
in
you
this
little
country.
millennial.
And you can't be
You're a
restricted.
fucking millennial.
Agent Orange, is that a euphemism, Tracy?
Smiling.
Tracy.
Keep smiling.
Tracy.
My dad, I have
wasn't
Agent
talking.
Orange. I have Agent Orange in my bloodstream.
Okay.
You weren't even born when my dad served our country.
Correct. You are.
Correct.
You are more than
correct. So you got me on video?
Yes.
All right, I'm not talking to you anymore.
You've said that a couple times.
I'm not
now.
talking to you. You're a little millennial.
You're good to go.
All right. So you're being cited for disorderly conduct. It's a must appear. Okay. So June 18th, you have to go to the Northfield Police Department and talk to them about your
Didi
behavior.
Mao. Didi Mao.
Don't know what you're saying.
I'm saying Didi Mao is Vietnamese for get out.
Okay. Fair enough.
This cop so perfectly sums up this entire come here legally argument because MAGA and Trump have normalized racial profiling while pretending it's all about the law. But yet there is no way to tell if someone is legal or not by just simply looking at them. And that's why I loved so much when the cop asked her, how do we know you're legal? How do we know you're a citizen? Maybe you should go back to where your ancestors are from. Because we don't know if she's legal. None of us do. Because citizenship, visas, legal status, none of that is visible. And when people say, we only care about legal immigration, what they actually mean is we feel completely entitled to profile, question, and harass certain people based on how they look. And that, my friends, is the real Trump derangement syndrome. When people convince themselves that their hatred is patriotic because their dear leader told them so.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
I'll obviously that woman in that video there, welcome back everybody, obviously that woman in the video is was drunk or high on something, whatever. But you know, when people, a lot of people, when they get drunk or they're high, their true nature comes out, you know, by the buckets. And I think, you know, this woman here who felt emboldened to act like a complete bitch in front of police who, you know, like I say, they're recording. They all wear body cams now, so whatever you say will appear on on YouTube or something. You know, it gets out there, okay? But thinking that, oh, Trump, 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 you know, obviously MAGA, okay? And this is the kind of people. This is a representative of the 30% that voted, that still supports Trump as it stands. And I hope they feel proud to have been represented here by this lady who felt it was okay to be racist because Trump's racist. She wouldn't say it, but that's what she was getting at, okay? He says nasty things all the time, so why can't I? You see how important it is to have a leader, okay, that can exude, you know, positivity, okay? You see what I'm saying? That you can't just grab anybody off the street, no matter that the Constitution says that anybody can. No, not really. You've got to be a certain quality person to be able to be a leader of an entire nation. We're not talking about somebody that's going to run a goddamn Burger King or something like that. Okay, we're talking about somebody who's going to be at the highest office of the land, head of the free world, the most powerful military. You don't want just any dingbat sitting in that fucking chair. Because people will follow that person's mannerism, okay? And for some, they won't because they're, you know, they feel like, oh, he's too good and I can't measure up. Okay, well, too bad. You ought to try. Okay? If you don't think you can't measure up, then why do you vote for somebody that you can measure up to? Okay, I mean, do you really think that you represent what should be sitting in the White House? I mean, does this woman think that her personality is the kind of personality that should be sitting in the White House? Because clearly that's what MAGA thinks, that all these dregs of society that we have in our country feel like, hey, we ought to be running the country. We know better. You know, I feel like that, you know, it's really insane that we're living through these times. You know, like I said, years ago, I never would have thought we'd be where we are right now. I figured, you know, the country knows pretty much what kind of person they want in there. And a guy, you know, like Trump, you know, or somebody like that would never, you know, set foot in the White House because people would recognize that idiot for what he is. So, you know, it's just, but here we are. I mean, you can't write this shit. Hollywood could never make up this shit, you know? You know, and we're living through some very interesting times, which is a curse, an old curse from, you know, Chinese people say, may you live through interesting times. Yeah, and that's what's happened. We've been cursed for our transgressions here in the past, internationally, nationally, whatever, okay, and maybe even individually. But we're being punished, I think. We've been cursed. You know, a country like this couldn't last for a long time because we've allowed too much to go on in it to bring it down so much, and we never really fixed it. You know, think of a problem in your past that the government had to face, and think about how often the government faces these problems and fixes them. You know, I have to go all the way back to the goddamn Great Depression. I have to look through history all the way back to see when the government did things and it actually worked out in the end. But, Jesus, recent? No, I can't. I honestly can't. So for the great nation that we think we are, we really, you know, don't have a whole lot to brag about anymore. We really don't. And that's sad because we used to strive for greatness in this country, and now it's everyone's diving to the bottom of the barrel as quick as they can get there, you know. So, I don't know. All right, so here's a story here. Marjorie Taylor Greene goes scorched earth on Trump in splashy New York Times feature. The spurned former the spurned former Trump loyalist continues her image-washing tour of prestigious media outlets, this time sitting down with the New York Times to discuss her break with Trump. It all started, she says, with the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Really? I thought this happened between her and Trump before that. Okay, let's go. Greene said she was struck by how Trump chooses to, quote unquote, hate his opponent, unquote. It just shows where his heart is, unquote. She later texted New York Times reporter Rob Draper, writing, quote, it just shows where his heart is, and that's the difference with her having a sincere Christian faith, and proves that he does not have any faith, unquote. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. It is beyond ludicrous that she's expecting us to believe that after nearly a decade of blind fanaticism, that all of a sudden she was bonked on the head by a large mallet and realized that Donald Trump is an exceptionally vicious narcissist who doesn't believe in anything but himself. But it is very useful for Republicans to hear this kind of stuff from another Republican, so thanks, we guess. Yeah, it's like I had mentioned before, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, coming out and trying to take the side of Democrats, more or less, trying to say that what we've been saying for months now about Trump, now they come out and they start sounding like Democrats saying these things about Trump. It's like, why do we have to listen to you, okay? We don't believe you. You two people, Marge and Boebert, you two have been the fucking funnies, the cartoons in the Republican MAGA group there for months now, okay? You've been a thorn in the Democrat side all under Biden administration, Marge. Okay? You've been pissing and shitting on that guy and doing stupid things just to trip up the Democrats. You're hated. We don't care what you got to say about Trump or how Trump's treating you. Okay? We don't care. At least I don't care. You know? It's just like, what the hell, that movie there, Bombshell there, I guess that's the name of it, talking about that story about Fox News and the sexual harassment that went on there. We don't care about those victims, the women that were harassed sexually. Okay? We don't care because those women were fucking vicious on the air. Tearing the shit out of Democrats every damn chance they could get. They were so fucking radical in what things they were saying. These were just commentators, by the way, not really journalists. But these people were nasty. And so we're supposed to suddenly feel sympathy for you because, oh, Roger Ailes, you groped me, or he wanted me to take my clothes off. And, you know, when you work with the devil, this is what you get. Okay? And Fox News, for whatever the hell you want to call it, it is a hellish organization that came into this country from Australia by that son of a bitch, I don't know what his name is now, that old bastard, okay? He come into this country and basically declared war on America by creating that fucking enterprise here, okay? What we did to this guy, I don't know. Why does he hate this country so much? I don't know. But, you know, if there's anybody that ought to go back to where he came from, it's that fucker there, because what's he done with his money? He's turned this country inside out, thanks to him and Fox News. Okay, we had a nice or pretty decent press agency in this country here, and when that showed up, when Fox showed up, I mean, that all went asunder. You know, everybody else, you know, because they were getting all kinds of attention, now everybody else wanted to be like Fox. And that's when it really, the decline in our media really dropped significantly after that point. So, like I said, you know, when people that are out there trying to destroy this country from within for months and years, and, you know, and suddenly they can't get what they want and they have a temper tantrum, why should we give a fuck? what they think. Because they would just as soon watch you get flushed down the toilet than themselves. I mean, okay? Remember, these people supported Trump. They threw in with him at the beginning. They believed in what he was going to do. Okay? These people are just as culpable for the shit that this country's in as Trump, because they supported him. They ran shotgun with him when he was running, and he helped them to win their seats. Okay? So all of a sudden now, like it said in that article, now all of a sudden now a line's been crossed. Really? Only now? No. Okay. And let me tell you something. A lot of Democrats have been sort of warming up to them. And I'm saying you're making a big mistake, because they will turn on you. They will turn on you. Okay? They're not happy with Trump right now. Okay? But don't forget, these people are in it for themselves. And if they have to throw him under the bus just to bolster themselves, they will do it. That's the common denominator with all of these people that are associated with Trump, is they are all in it for themselves, every one of them. They're just using Trump for the meantime to get to this where they need to be. And once that's happened, they don't really need to stay loyal to him anymore. They really don't. Okay? When they feel like they're in the clear or something like that, or if Trump does something, they'll turn on him. Okay? And you could see that it's happening. I mean, a lot of people are turning on him right now because they know he's not a benefit. He's not an asset anymore. He's actually a hindrance. Okay? His game here as president has been to attack everybody in government, not just Democrats, but everybody seems to be under his radar now. So with that being said, people who were once, loyal to him are going to turn on him because they got a stake in their own careers, their own futures, and Trump's getting in the way. So it's not an administration that's there to work for us, as I'm trying to illustrate here. Okay, while we're suffering, DC is having this little fucking tug-of-war game here with each other. Everyone's playing footsie and getting bitchy and pissy and everything. In the meantime, what's not being done here? Okay, what's the things that we're asking them to look at? Have they looked at it lately? I mean, have they tried to fit? No. What have they done? While they're playing these little games, they've actually ruined more of the country doing this. They've escalated global tensions against the United States. You got countries all over the world now blocking Americans from coming into their borders now because Trump is blocking their people from coming here. So they're retaliating in same. Okay? So you got this shit going on. Okay? You got the problems inside of our country, cutting Social Security like I was talking about before, Medicaid, healthcare is collapsing, people are losing their fucking jobs. Wages are down. Inflation is up. Meanwhile, the way Trump talks, none of that seems to matter to him. Instead, he'd rather lie to your face and tell you none of that's happening. Okay? In the meantime, I'm working with Russia and Ukraine to get peace, which is never going to happen. Okay? I'm working with them. Nobody cares at this point, about Russia and Ukraine. But he's trying to build himself up with that, okay? Because he's an egomaniac. He wants to be remembered for something great, but he won't be remembered for anything great. He's going to be remembered for infamy, things that he's done wrong. That's what he's going to be remembered for, and I don't care how that affects his family in that thing, okay? The fact that they haven't stepped in and told their father, their uncle, their cousin, shape up or ship out or something. I mean, the fact that they're doing nothing while they're watching that jerk sit there and rip this country in half, that means the whole family really isn't worth their ass, okay? You got one niece that's out there that's been talking against him, okay? And Trump's been, angling to shut her up too, okay? But the thing, Mary Trump, you have to understand, it makes the whole family look bad when the others in the family are not trying to do something to try to get him out of office, okay? By, saying, well, look, he's physically unable to do his job and mentally unable to do his job. When we talk to him, he's just, disoriented and what. Okay, the family needs to do something here. Okay? Rescue this guy from his fucking cage that he's put himself in the White House. Get rid of him. It'll make impeachment so much easier if they turn on him. Okay? Because when his own family can tell you that the guy doesn't deserve to be sitting there, then what evidence do you have that he should stay? There isn't any. And even without the family, there isn't any. Okay? This last year has been a trail of failure from Trump. Nothing he did has been right. Nothing. And, I don't know what more to say about that, except that, we desperately need to have sanity brought back to the government here. And right now, it's just a vacuum of madness that's just sucking up this country and spitting it out, Okay, something people should know. China's military deployed air, navy, and missile units this week in its largest ever drills around Taiwan. Beijing said the operation, dubbed, quote, Justice Mission 2025, unquote, aims to deter Taipei's push for formal independence and discourage foreign involvement. The exercise follows a record U.S. arms sale to Taiwan and remarks from Japanese leaders about potential defense commitments to the island. Taiwan reported roughly 89 Chinese military aircraft and 28 naval and Coast Guard vessels were present, with live fire drills simulating blockades and coordinated strikes. Taiwan mobilized rapid response troops and said flights were canceled or diverted for more than 100,000 travelers. Taiwan condemned the exercise, saying it threatens regional stability. Drills are still continuing even today. China and Taiwan have had strained relationships since 1949. China views Taiwan as part of the mainland, while Taiwan maintains it is a sovereign nation. Taiwan sits on key trade routes in the Western Pacific and produces about 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductor chips. And that's one of the reasons why China wants them. Okay, because China has ambitions, technological ambitions, and they want, access to the best materials that they can get. And certainly they want to take that advantage away from the rest of the world, like they said. A lot of people are using that. They want to take that advantage away, okay? But this has been an issue that's been building and building here for years now. I've seen a lot of stories about it, about all the other countries, like even Northern Australia, getting kind of nervous because, hey, China's not that far, further north from them. But people are getting really pissed off about this, and this standoff between the U.S. and China is something that Trump doesn't seem to really talk much about. Instead, he wants to talk about Venezuela and drug cartels, and oil deals off the shores of the United States. I mean, it's like, that China is, like they're saying, they're gearing up here. They're having drills. They're preparing themselves. All right, for we don't know when they'll strike. Some people have said that it could be just a big show. That China's real intentions have nothing to do with Taiwan. It could be the other side. I don't know, but it certainly makes people nervous. Okay, especially when you're looking at the numbers of what's being put out on the ocean. What I say, 89 aircraft and 28 naval and Coast Guard vessels. Okay, I mean, if it's just for show, then it's a big show. That they're using up a lot of their military, just to make the world nervous. But, like I said, Trump's attention is not where it should be. He's so busy with trying to build up his image because we've been trying to expose what he really is underneath for months now with the Jeffrey Epstein thing, that he's not really interested in looking at or trying to deal with that, because I don't think he really can. I don't think he has. I mean, I think part of the thing with Venezuela, like I was saying about all the oil that's shipped out of that country to different countries, and China being the one that takes 80%, I think that he's going after for that, you know, to try to put a chokehold on China. But that's only going to spark what everyone's hoping to avoid here, I think, is, you know, China will retaliate. And it would sort of be like a larger scale of the Cuban Missile Crisis in a way. Because we, you know, remember we put blockades from the Soviet ships coming into Cuba. But here's the thing. I mean, when when you have this much military out there against all what's the United States has set out there, you know, something could happen at any moment, a mistake or something like that. You know, the two militaries out on the sea, you know, I don't know how close they are to one another, but I'm sure the United States is pretty close to where Taiwan is. And, you know, and you see that once in a while, I guess, the Chinese will buzz by over the Navy ships and stuff like that, you know, and get their nerves rattled. So, and even, you know, even in the air, you got the naval airplanes, the United States airplanes and the China airplanes flying past each other and stuff. I mean, you know, it's, things could happen. Anything could happen, and it could spark something. But Trump is, you know, his actions, they are very questionable, and he's unfocused, and he's got too much attention, you know, being given to, you know, something that he at first he didn't care about. Remember, I mean, how he talked about Ukraine, you know, and how much, you know, he was trying to say Ukraine's responsible for all this, and, you know, and now he's sort of shifted that narrative to trying to sound like he's, you know, he's a peacemaker or something like that, and it doesn't jive with what we've seen him talk about Ukraine and Russia. And even Zelensky and Putin have their own agenda, and they don't seem to want to have Trump involved in it. You know, by all measure here, of the things that I've read, they're still fighting over there. They're still shooting at each other. You know, and Trump's trying to say, well, we're close to peace. Just what? Two days ago there, they had a huge strike in Russia with drones and stuff from Ukraine. That doesn't sound very close to a peace thing to me. Okay? Putin was hopping mad about it, I guess, from what if you want to believe what you read about that. I mean, they said he called up Trump, and Trump and him got into a heated fight. Okay, that doesn't sound to me like they're close to anything. It sounds like they're still going at it, and they're not going to quit until Zelensky either gets what he wants or Putin gets what he wants. You know? And I'm on Zelensky's side here, because he wasn't the person that started this thing. It was Putin that did. He lied to the whole fucking world about what he was doing with his military when he had that all lined up along Ukraine's border. He told everybody it was just an exercise. Well, some idiots believe that. I knew that wasn't an exercise. You don't line up military along a border unless you are itching to cross it. Okay? You can do your exercises anywhere else in your country, okay? But because you picked that particular area and you set it up the way you did, that looked very suspicious, okay? That looked like an imminent attack, and Zelensky was right. You know, he was trying to get everybody to say, look what they're doing. And they would say, oh, you're overreacting. Okay? And then Putin sent them in. So, like I said, you can't promise peace when one side is deceptive and instigated the fight in the first place. He's clearly got an agenda, Putin, and he wants to take Ukraine. You know, not just a piece of it. He wants all of it. Okay? He wants all of it, but Christ, he's going to destroy it in order to get it. But this is the thing, that Trump cannot seem to put his attention to things that are more precedent here, okay, more important, I think. Okay, he can send people, you know, to Ukraine or whatever to feel out the possibilities of a ceasefire, but because Trump started off on the wrong foot with Zelensky, you know, I don't think there's really going to be much chance of that, because, you know, I don't know if Zelensky would be dumb enough to get into any agreement with Trump that involves Putin. I mean, if these two people want to have peace, it shouldn't matter who brings them to the table. They'll make the peace one way or the other. They'll have stopped the fighting before that. But I don't see it. I don't feel that there really is a desire for it. And like I said, with China here, with this going on, this is something that will escalate quickly if Trump is caught off guard, as you know, with all this attention given to this mess over there. And he doesn't seem to be focused too much about that. At least the press is not talking much about it. And they were all last year, by the way, talking about what was happening in the Pacific. All last year talking about this. And now that Trump's come into office this year, you didn't hear much about it. And yet, you know, there are reports of things happening, but we're not seeing that much of it on TV. So it's like, you know, what the hell's really going on here? You know? So I don't know. I just, like I said, there's a lot happening, and I wish we could openly trust our media to give us the information we desperately need to hear, so we can make choices of our own, you know, to help guide this country. You can't pick and choose a representative and think they know the facts if you don't know the facts. You know, if they're running for a seat in office because of an agenda they have, okay, and your concerns are just conversation, but no intention to do anything about it is given, then, you know, what the hell are we doing here? You see what I'm saying? We're just pushing people into seats, and they're not there for us. You know, as soon as they get in there, they open up their little playbook and they start doing what they wanted to do from the get-go. And that's what Trump's been doing. You know, and that's what a lot of people have been doing that we've been voting for, because we don't take those proper steps to vet these people, to find out how they did their life before. You know, is there any wrongdoings, or is there something about this person we should know? You know, there's a lot. I mean, we've seen a lot of weird politicians in our country's history come and go here. You know, because something come out that shed a different light on them that we didn't expect to see, or something like that. And that's because we didn't check this person out enough. You know, it was hidden, but all of a sudden somebody finds out. You know, and it's like, okay, well, you see, we have the ability to find out what people are really like after they get the seat that they're in. Okay, you know, it's weird. You know, it's like last year when everybody was talking about Jeffrey Epstein and all this and yada yada, nobody cared. But now that he's in the office, now it's all coming out, the whole kit and caboodle, mostly anyway, and we're finding out way more than we knew last year about this thing. Okay, we know way more now than we did last year, and I can guarantee that it's true. And the thing is that it's quieted down MAGA quite a bit. In fact, it's caused a lot of defections. Okay, a lot of defections, because they may not have known how bad it was last year, but thanks to whoever, information is getting out there now that, you know, could have been hidden from our eyes, but have waited until now to be able to come out, because there was more motivation to get to the truth here now. But you know, it was a whole lot easier to do it back then, because, you know, the election could have turned out different. You know, we could have avoided that landmine, but here we stepped right on it, and now half our bodies is blown up in the air. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great New Year's, and probably by the time you watch this video, it'll already be 2026. So Anyway, Happy New Year, and I will do another video at some point. I'm not sure when. So subscribe, comment, and share. Keep your ears open for health issues, and treat each other kindly out there. Be safe, be careful, and I will talk to you guys later, so take care. Bye-bye.